And let me just get this Instagram feed going. There we are. And we are ready. I am Coach James. I'm the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, which is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including, but not limited to, physics, aerodynamics, drag, lift, kinetic energy, potential energy, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, elastic energy, elastic force, a whole range of topics. After we have covered all of the topics, after we have conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student gets to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything that they have learned in the course. And once they have selected their cars, then they take a picture of their cars, they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured, the materials the car is made from. They enter all of that information into a spreadsheet, and then after they've collected all the information that they can observe, then we set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip and have a series of races to see how the cars perform. The students observe their cars on the track and determine whether or not their cars performed up to or below their expectations, and if they had the chance, would they select that car again, or would they make a different choice based on everything that they have observed. In the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, we learn science. What could be better? If you would like more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics and how to bring it to your school or your organization or your special event, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at aerodynamics, and all the information you need is in the bio. You can contact me and find out everything that you need to know about our science program. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about Aerodynamics Presents Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So what is that? Well, we have we're fortunate to have the Funtech Labs Windsible, the 1/64th scale wind tunnel, and we can put Hot Wheels cars into the wind tunnel. We can turn on the air streams, and we can see how the air flows over, under, and around the cars. And as a result of those observations, we can determine things about the impact of drag on a particular Hot Wheels car that we put in there. Why is that important? Well, it's important because every Saturday at 11 a.m. on YouTube and Twitch, we race Hot Wheels cars on our 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip. And drag is one of the 3 forces that is working against the cars. So if a car can minimize one of those 3 forces, drag, gravity, and friction, then the car has an opportunity to be faster for a longer period of time on the track, resulting in a better time and winning races. And drag increases as speed increases. So the track setup that we have, the launcher that I designed, fires the cars out at extremely high rates of speed for Hot Wheels cars, and therefore drag is extremely important. And when we put these cars into the wind tunnel, we're able to gauge the impact of drag. And by doing that, we can tell how these cars are likely to perform on the track once they are lined up on Saturdays. So it's a good chance to get an idea about the cars beforehand. It's also an opportunity for us to take cars that raced on Saturday and put them in the wind tunnel and see how what we see in the wind tunnel matches up with what we saw on the track. But as with AtTheTrack.live on Saturdays, there's an opportunity for you to participate. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, and there are 3 options. One's the YouTube stream link, one's the Twitch stream link, but the third link, most importantly, is the one that says choose your car. And if you click that link, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, you will find all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet listed and numbered. And the numbering is important because that is how you are going to identify the cars. So as you are scrolling through, looking at cars, if this were Saturday, you'd be looking for a car to race. With this being Wind Tunnel Wednesday, you're looking for a car that you may consider racing on Saturday, but you want to put it in the wind tunnel so that you can get an idea about the impact of drag on the car. Because I can tell you, there are some things that we can observe with regard to drag that definitely are going to signal this is probably not the car you want to pick if you want it to be competitive. Now, if you just want to see how a car will perform, then hey, pick whichever car catches your eye. But if you're looking to pick a car because you want it to compete, you want it to be fast, you want it to win races, then you are better off picking a car, putting it in the wind tunnel, and taking a serious look at the impact of drag, because that is going to be the predominant force that is working to slow your car down. So, with that said, if you find a car that you do want to select, all you have to do is take the number of that car and drop that in the chat. I will pull the car, we'll put it in the wind tunnel, and we'll see what we can see. We have a few cars lined up and scheduled to go into the wind tunnel, and all of those cars will be trying ultimately to beat out our fastest in fleet car. And our fastest in fleet car is the car that has won our weekly tournament and is the champion. And the car that is currently the champion, the fastest in fleet car, is this one. It is the Blitz Speeder. It is the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet, and it is head and shoulders just beyond every other car that has faced it on the track. And it has been our fastest in fleet champion for, it was 4 months last year, and then it lost a race. Somehow, some way, it lost a race. And the car that it lost to, it eventually came back and beat that car. So for 4 months last year, and for about the last, this is June, or no, this is July. So for about the last 4 months of this year, this car has been dominant. So for about 8 of the last 8 months out of the last year, this car has been our fastest car. And based on the races that we've seen recently, this car doesn't really have much in the way of competition. But considering that in our fleet we have 880 cars currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet. So with that, there is a chance that we have a car in there that is faster than the Blitz Speeder. And if you can find that car, if you can pick that car, then all you have to do, find the car, take the number, drop it in the chat. I will pull it. If it's today, I'll pull it and put it in the wind tunnel. If it is at some other point, if it's Saturday, I will pull the car and we will actually race it. So you'll just hit the track. Now you'll have to beat out all of the other cars that are introduced before you get to the Blitz Speeder. You don't just get to go take on the champ right out of the gate, but you will have that opportunity if your car is the fastest. So every week what we do is we put the Blitz Speeder into the wind tunnel first, because with it being our fastest car by far, it stands to reason that a car that is going to be competitive with the Blitz Speeder or even beat the Blitz Speeder should have a similar aerodynamic profile to the Blitz Speeder. And so that car goes in first every time. So let's switch over to our wind tunnel view. Pop this open here. Drop the Blitz Speeder in. And let me get it lined up. Now, I am still waiting. It's in the mail. Is the company that makes the wind tunnel has also made a dyno, and essentially what it is, there are two rollers at the front of the car and two rollers in the back, and it runs, I think it's powered USB-C, so it's charged up. And what will happen is the rollers will spin, and it will spin the wheels on the car, so it'll be like the car is actually in motion. It's going to raise the car up, which is important, because we're going to have 5 streams of air coming out of the wind tunnel. But because these Hot Wheels cars sit so low, we usually only have the car interacting with maybe 2 of the air streams. So when we get this Windsible, it fits into the wind tunnel and should sit here. It will raise the car up, and it will give us more interaction with more of the air streams. And we should also be able to get a little bit of a look at how the air flows beneath the cars. But that is in the mail. I think it should be here pretty soon. I've gotten some shipping updates, and it's in the area. It's in the city, but I don't think it's been put on the mail truck to get here. So at least for this week, we are going to have our standard look at these cars in the wind tunnel. And with the Blitz Speeder, we are going to fire this thing up. And there should be a little puff of air that comes streaming out. It'll give a little pop. There it is. And we are off and running. We are always starting at 67 miles per hour, which is kind of a baseline. And it's a low speed, and with that, we can just see that the 2 air streams hitting the front of the Blitz Speeder, but there's a little more we'll be able to see with a little more definition and clarity once we turn up the speed. So now we are at 107 miles per hour, and we are seeing that the air is flowing right across the hood, up the windshield, the roof line, off the back. Let's go ahead and turn the speed up a little bit more. We're up to 161 miles per hour, and what you can see is right in this area, you see that little faint black line? That is the separation between the first airstream and the second. And what we're noticing, and what you should pay close attention to, is the fact that with the Blitz Speeder, the air hits the front of this car, flows up over the top, and does not separate from the body of the car. Some of these other cars that we put in to the wind tunnel, what you are going to see is that the air just around the roof line starts to separate from the body of the car. When that happens, it changes the pressure. And when that pressure change happens, then it creates a force of pressure drag that's working against the forward momentum of the car. So let's go ahead and turn this up, because I think this is really what helps make the Blitz Speeder so dominant on our track, is that it is able to minimize the impact of pressure drag. Yes, there's friction drag with the air dragging across the surface of the car, but I think the fact that the Blitz Speeder can reduce the impact of drag to such a degree, and we're at 188 miles per hour, the fact that it can reduce the impact of drag to such a degree does help this car maintain speed for longer periods of time down the track and ultimately win more races. And so we can see that separation. Again, we're at 188 miles per hour. If I turn it up to 201, that line becomes a little more clear between the first and second air streams, but that air, it just comes right up across the hood, the windshield, the roof line, all the way to the back until it tails off this wing, and then you get this little turbulent airflow in the back. But this is pretty much the ideal. So any other cars that are in the wind tunnel, if you select a car that you want to see put into the wind tunnel, then what you're going to need to do, what you really want, is an aerodynamic profile that is similar to the Blitz Speeder, because this car has been dominant, and there's a reason why. It's minimizing the impact of this drag. And like I said, there's three forces acting against the cars on the track: drag, friction, gravity. And so with the weight, we already know that there's a weight, kind of a sweet spot, which is about 32 grams, between 32 and 36 grams, right in there. The friction, you kind of want a wider car that doesn't bounce around. Narrow cars tend to bounce around the track, and that friction, with them pressing up against the sides of the track, the wheel scraping, just serves to slow the cars down. The cars start bouncing back and forth, and that is not going to help the cars beat out cars like the Blitz Speeder, like the Gazella R, like the Draftnator, the Track Tune. Those cars are pretty much going to get good solid launches, reduce the impact of drag, and move quickly down the track. So that is what you really want to see from a car if you are going to make a selection and hope to compete with the Blitz Speeder. So we are going to take a look at, let me see, we had a situation on Saturday where we had cars that were they were bootlegs. They were knockoff Hot Wheels cars, and they were very clearly someone had gotten the plans for these cars, or some factory over in China had gotten the plans for these cars and just decided, hey, we're just going to bootleg these Hot Wheels cars, but the difference is we're not going to use the same quality materials. So what we had were bootleg Hot Wheels cars that were identical in terms of shape and in terms of sort of visually, but they weighed about half as much. So this was an example. We had the Kafer Racer, and it's basically a souped up VW Beetle with this crazy racing kit attached to it. And these two cars are pretty much identical. You can tell that whatever factory made the Hot Wheels version made the bootleg version. And what we found on the track is that the bootleg versions weighed half as much, but as they went down the track, the Hot Wheels cars, in each case, we had about 4 different versions of these cars. We had 4 bootleg cars and 4 of the matching Hot Wheels cars. And in each case, the Hot Wheels car beat out the bootleg car by a lot, especially towards the end of the track. And the reason that is because even though these cars are really light, that doesn't necessarily help you on our track, because again, these cars are firing out of the launcher at extremely high rates of speed with a lot of force. And what happens is the drag works against these lighter cars and works to slow them down. And we see that all the time when people pick really light cars. The light cars tend to slow down at the back end of the track, much more so than cars that are in that 32 to 36 gram weight range. And we really saw it with all of these cars. So the difference in weight was significant, but I'm kind of curious about the drag. So if you were unaware or didn't know, because I didn't say anything, or maybe you couldn't tell, the blue car is the bootleg version. The black one is the Hot Wheels version. But as you can tell, clearly they were created from the same file, same mold, etc. But the blue one definitely it's significantly lighter. It's all plastic, and yeah, it lost the races on Saturday. But we want to take a look at it in the wind tunnel just to see the kind of drag that was impacting this car and its performance. Let me make sure I've got it lined up just right, which I do not. Right here, and that looks good. So we will see here, because we know that drag, oh, now the car rolled forward. That's another thing the dyno will help prevent. It will prevent the cars from rolling forward once I close this lid. Oh, really? Again? All right, let's try this. Again, this light car, this bootleg Kafer Racer, lined up. Got it pretty much straight. See if it will stay in position right now. All right, there we go. Got it locked in. And let's go ahead and see what's happening with this car. Get up to our baseline. Oh, shut off. All right, let's see if we can ramp this up again. All right, our baseline, 67 miles per hour. And what you can see immediately is the airflow coming off the back of the car. It's actually coming around the sides, but 67 miles per hour isn't significant enough in terms of speed to really make any determination. So let's go ahead and turn this thing up. Is up to 121 miles per hour. And again, we're unlike the Blitz Speeder. What we're not seeing is the air flow following the contours of the body all the way to the end. The airflow is definitely breaking off, and we can see here, as we get up to 161 miles per hour, that basically the air is hitting the front of the car. It's coming up to the top. Some of the air after it hits the windshield is coming around the sides, and some of the other air is flowing up over the top, and it gets to the roof line, and then right about here it just breaks off from the body of the car. It's not following all the way down and then to this wing. It is simply breaking off right at this point. And when that air breaks off, it creates an area of low pressure. There's high pressure at the front where the air is pushing into the front of the car, and then there's low pressure in the area where the air is breaking away from the lines of the car. And when that happens, ultimately there's a pressure differential. So there's higher pressure at the front, lower pressure towards the back, and the pressure that's drag is pushing, this pressure drag is pushing from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. So it's pushing against the forward momentum of the car, which is what worked against this car, that and the fact that it's lighter. So all things being equal, which they weren't, this car is going up against a car that's identical in appearance, but the only difference is the materials the car is made of and the weight. So the aerodynamics of the cars are identical. The weight of the cars are different. The materials the cars are made of are different. And so the car that was heavier actually was less impacted by drag than the lighter car. And you can see that in the footage when these cars go and went head to head. And if you want to see what happened, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can check out the all the races are there. You go into the live tab and select AtTheTrack.live, and you will see all of the episodes of AtTheTrack.live that have occurred. You can see all of the races. There are time codes, so all of the information that you would be looking for is there. You can jump to any of the races. You can jump to the reviews. You can watch the entire episode if you so choose. But this is definitely a situation where we had two cars where you could see the impact of drag, because again, these cars are absolutely identical. The factory that knocked off the Hot Wheels version of the car made a good replica. It's just that they used cheaper materials and made the car so light that it's slow on our track. Drag took it out. So that is that. We also had, what was interesting is we had this car. Let me pull it out. It was a 2017 Ford GT. And let's take a look at this one. This is another really nice looking car. And what we had, the question we had with this car is that in terms of the body style, perfect. I mean, that from the hood to the windshield, the transition to the roof line, perfect. But it's these areas here, right here, these little pockets. On the real car, these are most likely, I believe they're open so that the airflow can be directed and controlled. On the Hot Wheels version, these are sealed. There's a little bit of a pocket there, and then it's sealed. So the air cannot pass through this area all the way to the back and out the back of the car. And what we thought happened and what appeared to have happened on Saturday when this car raced is that air hitting in these areas, in these little pockets, acted more as almost as a parachute, and just served to trap that air and slow the car down, because this car didn't perform as well as we would probably have expected it to. And it's just not clear. Well, the idea is that, and our hypothesis was that, again, air is getting trapped in this little pocket, and that's just working to slow the car down. This car did not win our tournament. It did not even make it to the finals, I don't think. So we're going to put it in the wind tunnel to test that theory and see if we can figure out what exactly is happening with the air when it hits this side area just behind the doors. So let's go ahead and take this car, pop it into the wind tunnel right here, and we will see what we see. And when you look at the profile of the car, it's pretty much what you want. It's similar, very similar to the Blitz Speeder in terms of that transition from the hood to the windshield to the roof line to the back of the car. There's not a steep drop off from the roof to the back area of the car. So that's what you want. So there had to have been another factor that caused this car to essentially underperform. So let's go ahead and we're going to look at the car and the airflow with the car lined up dead center, and then we're going to move it off to the side so that we can really see what's happening with the air on the side of the car. So this is at 67 miles per hour, and that is our baseline. We're going to step it up, get a little more definition in there. So we're up to 107 miles per hour. $121. $134. And we're kind of seeing air separate at the back end, but it's not that significant that it should have slowed this car down all that much. Now there is a bit more frontal surface area right there than on the Blitz Speeder, but again, not so significant an amount that it really should have made all that much difference, but there was a difference. And yeah, there's nothing I'm seeing here that suggests this car should have performed poorly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift it over. I'm going to shift the car over to try and line up the smoke stream with the side of the car to see if we can find out what happens when the air flows over to that side, and see what happens with these vents. We're going to try and see if we can get the air to flow that way right into there, but might be a little tough. Let's see. Let's move it over here. Kind of lining it up. Alright. So I think I've got it lined up now, and we should be able to see what happens with the airflow. Alright, stayed in place, perfect. Okay, so it's 67 miles per hour. What we have is, I can show you how I've shifted the car over, if I can release this cord. So I've shifted the car over so that smoke line is hitting on the side of the car, because ultimately I want to see what's happening there. So alright, let's turn the speed up, and we've got airflow that's coming, it's hitting the front right here, and then it's coming around the side of the bumper, and it's coming out below the wheel, but it's a little tough to see if air is flowing into that pocket. So I'm turning it up to, we're up to 147 miles per hour, and I can see there is air that's flowing right into that pocket, but it's not clear exactly, so you can kind of see it there. It's a little faint, but if you look at that black triangular panel right behind the door, you can see that the air is in fact flowing right into that little pocket. and you can see it there how it's lined up. Hey Christopher, how you doing? And it is right there. We're at a 147. Go up to 174. And I can absolutely see that the air is going into that pocket. What's happening once it comes out, I don't know. And what we can't tell is the impact that this is having in terms of the car going down the track, the air getting trapped in this pocket here, and the one on the opposite side. Let's go up to 188 miles per hour. And what I do see is a little bit of air pulling. You can kind of see that gray line right there by the tire. The air is pulling around there. I can't tell if it's getting trapped here and then coming out and then flowing around the wheel, or if that air that's flowing around the wheel is coming from air that's beneath the car coming out. But at any rate, let's see, turn this up to 201 miles per hour. It's the only way that I can really explain this car's performance on Saturday, is that the air was in fact getting trapped in those pockets just enough to create enough resistance and drag that it slowed this car down, because otherwise this car really should have performed pretty well, because the airflow, as we saw with the Blitz Speeder, that transition from the hood to the windshield to the roof line to the back of the car, there's not a steep drop off. It's usually cars that have a more traditional drop off from the top of the roof to the back of the car. Though that's where we usually see some problems, but that is not the case with this car. So I am really convinced that these little pockets right here, where on the real car the air would be able to flow right through there out to the back in some capacity. Here this is sealed up and there's one on either side. I believe that enough air got trapped in there that it created enough resistance that it slowed this car down, and therefore it just didn't perform as well as we would have thought initially that it was going to perform. So, all right, let's take a look. There's a couple of cars that Christopher is considering racing, so we have pulled those cars. We will put those into the wind tunnel, and most likely, based on whatever it is that he observes in the wind tunnel, he will be able to make a decision about which car he wants to see race on Saturday. And if you would like to see a car in the wind tunnel, or you know that there's a car, or maybe there's two cars you're considering, or maybe you haven't yet considered a car, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose your car option, and you will be taken to this page. On this page, all of the cars in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet are listed. We have every kind of Hot Wheels car you can think of. We have fantasy cars. We have cars based on real cars. We have cars based on animals. We have cars based on comic book characters. We have cars that are based on airplanes. We have Batmobiles. We have Ferraris, Lamborghinis, trucks, tow trucks, hovercrafts, dinosaur cars, all kinds of things. Cars that are based around food. We have a donut car, a hot dog car. We have, I believe we have a Jello mold car. We have a sushi tuner, a car that is based on a sushi roll. So even if we don't have the exact car that you're looking for, we most likely have something very, very similar. And if you know the name of the car that you're looking for, you can always send me a DM or just leave a message under one of the videos and let me know the name of the car. I can check the spreadsheet pretty quickly and let you know if we have that exact car. In some cases we do, in some cases we don't. But if you want to select a car, you can click on it, you can take a closer look, and if you decide, you know what, I want to see that car in the wind tunnel, or I want to see that car on the track, you just take the number of the car, in this case 169, drop it in the chat, and I will pull the car. Okay, let's take a look at one of the cars that Christopher is considering, and it is this Red Bull Oracle, this F1 racing car. And there are, as we were discussing on Saturday, there are multiple F1 cars that are being released, and I'm curious to find out if the cars are actually different or if they're basically the same car just with different decals and paint jobs and all of that. So this car we're going to put into the wind tunnel, and then we will take a look at the other car he is considering, and then we'll find out if he's going to make his decision today or if he's going to hold off until Saturday. So let's go ahead and pop this car right here into the wind tunnel. This is from the Formula One collection. This is the Red Bull Oracle Formula One car. And let me just get it lined up. Now the thing that's interesting with these cars is that I don't know that just because they sit so low and they have different kind of design elements on them, it's tough to get a real clear idea how they will be impacted. But we're going to take a look anyway and see what we can see. So again, we're starting with our baseline of 67 miles per hour, and you can see the air where it hits the car in the front and begins coming up across the nose cone area, and then things just start to get a little strange. Oh, and the wind tunnel decided to stop pushing out air. Or let's try this again. Oh. This thing is a little temperamental. This is the first, here we go again. This is the first generation of this Windsible Wind Tunnel, and every once in a while we have some little issues, but for the most part, usually you can kind of reset this thing and have it kick back on. So let's see if we can get back up to our baseline of 67 miles per hour. And then now we're at 80. We're at 94. 107. 121. 134. 147. 161. 174. And yet, so with this one, we're seeing the air pretty much hit the front of the car, come up, and then once it gets to the driver's canopy, which is open, the air really just kind of starts to go around over that area, and then it just tails completely off. And you can see from this line that faint line that the air, that it's just pulling away from the body of the car. So because of the shape and style of the F1 cars, it's a little harder to make the same determinations about how drag is going to impact these cars. They sit lower than most cars. The design is pretty unusual, and the airflow is going to hit different parts of the car in different ways. So this one's a little tricky. And this is at 174 miles per hour, 188, 201 miles per hour. So I don't really know how helpful that may or may not have been for the selection process, because there really isn't it's going to be tough to just make a determination that we can make with the more standard cars. And we can shift it to the side, and what will happen is the wheels are there in the way. So even if we shift this to the side, which I can do, the air will hit the wheels, and we're still going to get a situation where the air is going to, once it hits this wheel, it's just going to tail off. It's not going to come back in and hit the car and follow the contours of the body. But we can take a look and see what happens when we do that. Let's go ahead and fire this up. So we are at 80 miles per hour, and we can see exactly that. The air is coming up right here, and once it hits this wheel, then it just takes off and just sort of does its own thing. And it's really going to be tough to see, at least in this view, how to make any determination about how drag will impact this car. This is probably just going to be a car that we're going to have to see it race in order to really make any kind of definitive conclusions, because we're really just seeing the air hit that tire and then tail off. When we had the car lined up in the center, the air came up over the top, hit the driver's canopy, and then just kind of trailed off. If that is, if it follows sort of the same logic that we've been using with the other cars, then ultimately where the air separates from the body of the car is creating a big area of low pressure that's going to work against this car's forward momentum. But it's a little difficult to tell just because of how this car is set up. And as I turn the speed up, we're up at 188 miles per hour, and you can see the air is just not following the contours of the body of the car at all. So that is one of the cars that he's considering. And he mentioned that there were lines on the bottom. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, so these lines, actually I'll bring it up over here on the other view. Yeah, these channels on the bottom of the car, in theory, they should direct the airflow. And as the air passes beneath the car, it should hit this channel and then be directed towards the back of the car, hit those other channels in the back, and then flow out the back. I think that's the idea. But because Hot Wheels, Mattel, they have to put the information about the car on the car. These channels stop right here, and then there's information that has to be listed, in the manufacturing year and the logo and the place, the country of origin, and all of those things. So perhaps if this channel had gone all the way through to the back, then that may have made a difference. And it's one of those things that's going to be really hard to determine and to tell, just because we can't really account for that with the tools that we have. Even though we have the wind tunnel, it's just a little hard to tell what's happening beneath the car with the airflow. So that is definitely what these are designed to do, to channel air, but I don't know if the fact that there's this informational part of the car here prevents these from actually doing the job that they were designed to do, because they're not connecting from the front to the back. So we'll have to see if this is the car that Christopher ends up going with on Saturday. But he's got another option, which we're going to throw in the wind tunnel, which is this one, this Indy Oval car. We're going to throw this one in there, and it's a similar low profile, so I don't know. It's really going to be hard to tell with this car as well how the airflow is going to, and drag are going to impact this car, because it's such a different body style than the traditional cars that we are usually looking at. Even though we do get put in a lot of fantasy cars, it is still a matter of whether or not we have enough surface area that the airstream can interact with to be able to make some kind of basic determinations. So we're going to line this one up, but I don't expect that we'll see much different than the other car. So with some of these cars, ATL, go get a on which car. So with that Oracle F1 car, it's hard to tell. It's a little harder to tell about the resistance and the amount of drag. With some of the more traditional cars, we can definitely see it, because they have, so for example, like with this car, because it doesn't have a front bumper, there's no contact point right at the front of the car. For most cars, especially cars with bumpers, trucks, whatever, we'll have the air hit right in the front, and it creates that area of high pressure, and then the air has to go over, under, and around the car. And we can see where and when the air detaches, the airflow detaches from the car, and we can make some determinations about the high pressure versus the low pressure and the pressure drag and all of that. But with these Indy cars and these kind of lower profile cars, it's a little harder to tell. And I think what we're seeing with this one is something similar to what we saw with the other F1 car, and that we're just not getting a lot of information that's going to be useful here. So we've got 60, we're at 80 miles per hour. We can push it up. We're at 107. But once again, just because of the design of this car, I don't think we're really getting that much information that is going to be useful to kind of predict how this car is going to race on Saturday, if this is the car that Christopher picks. And yeah, there's just not much here. So the air, of course, is, I mean, this car is sitting even below the first airstream, but the airflow, it's hitting the car, but once it makes contact with the car and this driver's area in the back of the driver's cockpit area, they are just kind of tailing off, but there's not much for the air to interact with. So yes, drag is going to be a factor, as it is for all of the cars, but right now we just can't tell how much of a factor, but just because of the shape and design of this car. So I think, Christopher, you're going to have to make your decision, but I don't know that usually the car being in the wind tunnel helps with the decision making, but I think this time it's not really going to be as helpful just because of the design of the car. So it is not yeah, I don't know. You've got a tough decision, but I'm going to put in, if we go back and put in, let me see. I'll throw in this, go back and put in this Bugatti just to show kind of the difference between cars that have some surface area to play with versus the Indy car style cars. So if I go with this and we just hit it right, go up to our baseline, 67 miles per hour. So right now with this car, you can absolutely see where that air hits right in the front. It's creating that area of high pressure just right there. And as we turn the speed up, that air has to figure out. It's going over, under, and around the car. We see some going beneath, some going over the top. But that's a lot of surface area in the front for, especially for a car. We're up to 134 miles per hour. We've got 147. And so with this, we can absolutely see the air flowing up over the top of the car, right at the roof line where we see that separation. This car raced on Saturday, and just like the other Kafer Racer, it was light, and because it was light, it was impacted by drag significantly at the back end of our track, and yeah, that is not what you want to see. So these are some of the things to consider when you are selecting a car, but it's going to be a tough choice. It's definitely going to be a tough choice to determine whether or not you're going with the Indy car, or if you are going with the F1 car, the Indy, the Indy Oval, or the F1 racing cars. So that should be interesting. We will definitely be here on Saturday, and we will find out which cars are going to be racing. We have a few viewer picks that are already lined up. We've got the RDO4, we've got the Rogue Hog, and then one of these two cars possibly will be racing, and we will see which cars I'm able to pull out from the from storage to bring to the track. And we definitely we've had some pretty good races, and we've had a lot of competitive races. It's just that when the cars ultimately get to face off against the Blitz Speeder is just on another level, and we haven't really had close races there, but we've had some really good races leading up to that point. So if you would like to watch the races, if you would like to participate in the races on Saturday. All you have to do is join us at 11 a.m. The races take place on YouTube and Twitch only because on Instagram we're restricted to this kind of vertical format, and the track view is much wider, so we need the full screen. But if you want to participate, all you have to do, aside from joining us, is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose your car option. You will be taken to this page. On this page, all of the cars in the fleet are listed. I think at last count, we're up to about 880 different cars that we have in the fleet, and we are, cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. If you're into Hot Wheels cars, we have a car that will suit you, a car that will reflect the type of Hot Wheels cars you're into. And ultimately what you're trying to do is find a car that is faster than the other cars that viewer picks, and find cars that are faster than the ones that I introduce. And if you can do all that, if you can manage to beat all the cars that the viewers picked, if you manage to beat all the cars that I introduced, then you get to take your shot at the champion, at the crown, at the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. And that is, and has been, this car right here, the Blitz Speeder. We saw it first in the wind tunnel, and you saw that aerodynamic profile. This car minimizes drag, the impact of drag, and that is key. That is the most important aspect. We're talking about two things. We're talking about what we're looking for in terms of the airflow. We're talking about the Coanda Effect is what I'm talking about when I'm saying I'm tracking the airflow over the body of the car. So it essentially explains how moving fluids like air tend to follow a curved surface. In this case, we're talking about the car. When we turn that air on, it's following the surface of the Blitz Speeder from front to back. We didn't see that with the other cars. And so what happens is, if you look at the diagram on the top, the air moving over the top of the car is moving more slowly, and that creates high pressure. Air moving under the car in a constricted space, that is moving faster, and it creates low pressure. The pressure is trying to move from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. So when we're talking about air on the top and bottom of the car, air is typically trying to go from the top to the bottom. It's pressing down, which ultimately creates downforce, which helps keep the tires of the car, especially at high speeds, on the ground. When we're talking about differences in pressure from front to back, we have high pressure in the front, and then where the air breaks away from following the body of the car, that creates an area of low pressure. And so again, pressure is moving from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure, which means that pressure drag is pushing against the forward momentum of the car and slowing it down. So that's why we see, especially the lighter cars, slowing down at the back end of our track, because drag is working against it, especially if they don't have a good aerodynamic profile. So when you see that air breaking away from the flow of the body of the car, it's creating a difference in pressure that's working against that car's forward momentum. So you'll start to see the car slow down. When we're talking about the Blitz Speeder, when we had that car in the wind tunnel, what you see is that air flows right up over the hood, right up to the windshield, right on the roof line, right to the back, and then off of this wing. There is no separation of the airflow, and there's nothing on the Blitz Speeder to trap the air in. When we were talking about this Ford GT, it's got everything that you want to see as far as the transition from the hood to the windshield to the roof to the back, but it has these pockets right here that on the real car direct the airflow out the back. On this car, the Hot Wheels car, it's sealed up. So it acts like a parachute or a pocket, and that is definitely going to work to slow the car down. How much, it's hard to say, but it's definitely, we could see from the wind tunnel, air was going in there, And if the air is going in there and can't flow out the back, then we know that it's going to have an impact. And we saw that this car didn't perform as well as it probably should have on the track. So drag is extremely important. When we were talking about this Kafer Racer, we've got the bootleg version, we've got the real version. These are identical cars. They, like, whatever factory stole the Hot Wheels files and model and mold, these cars are identical. The only difference is that one is made with all plastic, this one, and it's about half the weight of the Hot Wheels version that has metal included. So with the cars being absolutely identical, why would one car slow down so much more on our track? And it's because drag got to it. They both have the same aerodynamic profile, so the air is impacting each car to the same degree, but what happens is that the car that's lighter is impacted by drag more so, and it's slowed down, and the Hot Wheels car passed it up. That happened in every single race we had, where we had one of these bootleg cars and we had the real Hot Wheels cars. So that is what happens there. It's why drag is important. It's why I love throwing these cars into the wind tunnel, because we can actually see what's happening and what's going on, and it kind of explains what we see on Saturdays. Hey, Rough Shot. Hey, Virgo. No problems. We will be here on Saturday. I had Rough Shot's pick that RDO4 is will be waiting to go, and we've got cars already lined up. We've got some cars in storage. We've got Christopher he's going to have to make his decision. Which car will he pick? Will it be the F1 car? Will it be the Indy Oval car? I don't know. How will they perform? I don't know that either, because it was hard to tell from what we saw in the wind tunnel. But we're here every Saturday, 11 a.m., YouTube and Twitch, or you can watch the episodes later on our YouTube channel. Just go to the live tab, and all the episodes are listed, time codes, all that, so you can jump to the races that you want to see. You can watch the reviews you want to see. You can watch the whole episode. That's fine too. But if you want to participate, just go to AtTheTrack.live, select that choose a car option, and you can scroll through all 880 cars that are currently in the fleet and find the one that you want. Take that number. You'll drop it in the chat on Saturday. I'll pull the car. You'll be in the mix. And we'll see if you can find the car that can take out the Blitz Speeder. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but we have fun trying to beat it anyway. So if you'd like more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics, just go to aerodynamics.com, and all the information you need is there. You can follow us on Instagram, Aerodynamics. All the information you need to contact me is in the bio, and you can find out how to bring our program to your school, your organization, or your special event. So, for All About Aerodynamics, for At The Track Live, and for Wind Tunnel Wednesday, I am Coach James. Next week when we're here, we should have the little dyno attachment to go inside the Windsible, and it should change how we're able to look at the cars. I checked the tracking today, and the thing is, it's making its way. It's in the city, but it hasn't been delivered to the mailman, and they haven't delivered it here. So at least it made it here from China so far. It's in the city. Hopefully by Saturday or next week, we'll have it and be able to put it in place. So I will see you back here next Wednesday, Wind Tunnel Wednesday. I'll see you on Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific for At The Track Live. And until then, hey, I'll see you at the races.